So, how are you guys?
Good.
We're doing pretty good.
Kind of
You're doing-
patchy, but
I'm working through it.
All right. Want to kind of update me about where you guys are right now?
It's a new year. Got some
Indeed.
new goals.
Yeah.
Getting the kids on better routines. The house has been in order. Feeling pretty good.
Sounds
We've had
good.
little disagreements, but we kind of let them take their course and then work them out. Towards, I think. What'd you say?
well, we just came off of a really good kind of makeup, and not that kind of makeup, but
Repair.
yeah, and I think it was for me whenever something that affirming comes through, you almost forget about the other arguments or disagreements become smaller and less significant. And we kind of had a moment where at least just for that moment the future became a little more clear as to some of the stuff we've been struggling through. And so and we've had moments like that before, but this one was timely and well needed. And so but before then, I think it was we were fresh off of an argument about our oldest kid, and there's a certain way that I feel like I need to be a father to my oldest daughter, and she's, this is her second year of middle school, and so, and that, before then we were really worried about what those years could look like, just because we've worked with so many kids before.
Right.
But it's different when the kid's your own kid. We got a live round, and I felt like Chantel, that she completely did not. She reacted to what I was saying to my daughter without giving thought to why I was saying it. She almost caught offense, like I was talking to her, and that was irritating. But and then I just decided to just tell her how I felt, and then leave it at that. And so I forgot how the argument ended. Do you?
We went through the day and then I apologized.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Good. Good. So, have you had any more discussion about what it means to be a parent to a middle schooler?
No, we haven't talked about it.
we have off and on.
Oh, that's what I meant since the argument.
Is that what
We
you
talked about it, like kind of
Yeah,
the
basically.
issues as things arise, yeah.
Okay. Well, this might be a really neat opportunity, actually, if this feels right for you guys, to be talking about parenting. And there's a way in which couples can strengthen their relationship by creating a sense of shared meaning in their relationship. And what shared meaning is discussing your values about something, or your goals, or what has symbolic meaning to you, something that has meaning to you, and making it known to your partner what is meaningful to you about, for example, here, being a parent to Unique, to your middle schooler, what has the most meaning for you in terms of how you want to parent her? What values do you want to incorporate into being a parent? And what does it mean to you to be a parent? So that at least if you explore that and talk about that, you don't have to necessarily merge together or be the same thing, but you know what page each of you is on in terms of where you're coming from in the day-to-day behavior of parenting her. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So does that sound like a reasonable topic for today to talk about?
That one's the fresh one out the oven, so
Fresh one out of the oven. Okay.
might be something different next week, but I figure as they arise, we'll just hammer them out.
Yep, that's right. Kind of week by week. So let me give you a structure in which to talk about this, and then I'll have you converse with one another. Okay? So here's what I'd recommend. Each of you take a turn speaking about what it means to you to parent Unique, 13-year-old daughter. What it means to you to parent her. What is most important to you about parenting her? What values do you have inside you at your core that you want to kind of roll into her, into parenting her? Each one of you take a turn talking about that, and the other person who's listening, just listen to ask questions. In other words, you don't want to counter the other person. You don't want to argue against what they're saying. Instead, what you might try to do is ask questions similar to the kinds of things we've asked before to really understand your partner's sense of purpose, sense of meaning in terms of parenting Unique. Okay, and I'll kind of help you through that, but primarily let's have the two of you converse with one another. All right?
I'll start. Well, it's all. You need 2 pillows, Julie.
You're right. You want a blanket?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
I just need some.
To hold on to. I'll bring another pillow.
Well, I think I want Unique. There's parts of my life that I want Unique to experience, just because I felt like they were important in making me the person I am today. And there's other parts of me that I don't want Unique to experience at all, because it's not her reality. So there's certain things that I feel like I need to protect her from. Like what? Well, boys, male species. No, but no, I think I don't really have an issue with Unique being promiscuous, or I don't feel that vibe from her. I could be completely wrong. Probably is the case with most naive parents, but I want Unique to have a strong sense of who she is, and to really like and love who she is. I feel like that I didn't really get that experience until later, probably my adult life. And even then, I feel like I struggle there. But for her, I want her to be confident in who she is. And sometimes I see her have a lack of confidence in who she is. but then the flip side to that is that because when she thinks about it, and when she thinks that she might be letting one of us down, I feel like she starts to get down on herself. But when she's just being herself, she seems to be confident in her abilities. And so, and I also don't want to. I feel like there's certain things that I'm doing that I might hand down to her as a handicap. I.e., arguments with you. I don't want, one of the things that I fear is that she would, like some of the verbal arguments we've got into, I don't want her to take that and think that, this is going to sound crazy, but to think that it's all right for another guy to talk to her how I talk to you sometimes. And so that's a double thing going on there. But
2 points for you for at least being aware that that's not
but
ideal.
I can't stop it though. I mean, I want to stop it, and it doesn't go overboard. Like, I'm not cursing her mom out, and I don't feel like I'm violent in my. Well, we probably could say whether I don't feel like I'm violent towards you when I'm talking to you. I feel like I'm aggressive, and there's certain points that I need to make that I feel like you can't hear otherwise unless I raise my voice a few notches. But there have been times where I have felt that Unique has been listening and keys into. She almost can feel when something is not right with us. And so,
she's always around too.
yeah.
The kids never hear us argue hardly.
Or they just don't care.
Or they care, but we don't argue in front of them a lot. But whenever we get in our big ones, Unique is always.
She's very sensitive to that. Yeah. And so my wish for her, dream for her, is that she would be happy, that she would take the values that we've given her and and instill them in I guess for now her friends, and then eventually a family of her own one day, along down in the future, way out there. So.
Chantel, you might want to check out which values Paul is thinking about in terms of what values he wants instilled in her that she will then live with friends now and family later.
I've always.
So ask him about that.
Oh. Which values do you want instilled in her?
You want to talk?
No, I'm trying to remember exactly what she said. That she will live with now or with friends later.
Well, first one is I want her to be a woman of character. I want her to be someone that has, when people think about Unique, they know that she is a woman of character and someone that has integrity. She's always doing the right thing, even if it's at the wrong time and not an opportune time for her. And she has shown that already, is that she is willing to go against the grain, even when it seems like it's easier to just go along with her cousin or her. And then, she's also had some slips in that area as well because of Ryan in particular. Other values I want
because of Ryan. I'd say along with Ryan.
Along with Ryan, yeah. That's what you would say, but I would say with Ryan. So, I also want her to have a deep, deep sense of her own spirituality and her sense of God and her sense of people. That somehow those two are connected, which I feel like she's on her way to doing that. And I think that our example to her of working with folks most of our lives, almost all of her life. I want her to have the same legacy of helping people that we do and that our parents do. And so, and yeah, I think another value would be mm, oh, this one's very important. I want her to have a value of learning. Sometimes she can get into a video game mode to where she's locked onto something, and I feel like it. I want her to experience more than she is now, and so there's a value for learning, and for like exploring, and being exposed to different things. But that's kind of our job. So yeah.
Cool. Chantel, is there anything that you don't completely and thoroughly understand about what Paul has just said?
No.
Okay. Want to trade roles now?
And I also want to add that I'm in agreement. Actually,
Tell him.
most of my values are similar for Unique. I think where we have conflict is when you're parenting her from a father, and when I'm parenting her from a mother. Just like
The whole eyeliner thing, I don't agree with.
and I understand it, but see, I used to be in the 7th grade, and there's things that happen that a father wouldn't know, that I understand that Unique is going through, and part of that is learning how to become a woman. And if I had been introduced to the way you're supposed to wear makeup and what it represents and what it's why we wear it earlier, I might not have spent so many years fumbling around wearing stuff that was completely inappropriate, that I was taking to school, taking it from people that I knew, wearing it at school so I could look older and feel older in the wrong way. And so I wanted to start introducing her to small amounts of makeup so that she knows when she gets older how to use it and what it's for. And I also want her to start turning on her girly side a little more. So I haven't been letting her wear it all the time, but once in a while I wanted to girlify her a little more. And I can understand that's why I stopped when you said you don't think that you're ready for it. I talked with her about it, and she felt that was fine. So she hasn't been wearing it. But I still want her to acknowledge that she is a young lady, and that it's not always sweats and tennis shoes and not combing my hair, that she needs to take care of herself and keep herself up. Because if I don't instill that in her now, she's going to go into high school, and you know how they treat kids who don't take care of themselves. And you know the things that at least I remember going through that. My grandma didn't take care of me. I had to learn to take care of myself and iron my own clothes and take care and do my own hair. And that wasn't until 8th grade. So if it wasn't for my humor, I would have been ostracized most of my life. And so I didn't want her to go through that when the kids are starting to pick on her. Because then they end up getting in trouble for fighting or, it leads to other things. And I want her to have a sense of self-value. But this is how I feel. So that's why I wasn't
going to say anything against how you feel. I was just going to make a comment.
So she's getting to the point where she's starting to like boys. She's getting to the point where she's becoming aware of her body. She's starting to notice that she's a lady. And I want her to notice that. She's starting to notice that she's becoming a woman. And I want her to notice that in a way that means she's becoming a lady.
So when you say like boys, do you mean like how they think they're cute, or that she actually likes them?
She has a crush on a guy,
yeah. Only names is an option. All girls.
And that's something, we both agree on that as well. So my point is that that's normal. And it starts to kick in pretty tough around 7th grade.
Well, you know what you did, though? You brought her into view. Because before then, guys were probably not looking at her
So,
until
Paul,
you put the eyeliner on.
notice-
Oh my goodness!
Paul, notice what you're doing now.
You make
What are you
feel
doing
bad.
now?
That's what you're doing.
What am I doing?
Yeah.
I'm venting my frustration.
Indeed. Indeed. So, what do you think you could do differently right now?
Stop, drop, and roll.
There you go.
Well,
Because I'm not thinking.
Stay in it. So let me.
that, like when we look from when our sons get to be a certain age, you're gonna immediately remember what you were, what it was like when you were that age and what you went through, and you're gonna think about what could have been done. What could my parents have done differently to help me through that? And when I look at Unique, one of the things I think
What
is,
could
you know
they
what?
have done at all?
Well, same thing. And for me, I look at that. If my grandma had explained more to me, instead of making me feel bad about a lot, talked with me about it, understood, gave me parameters, told me what stuff meant, that would have made me make better choices. And so that's what I'm trying to do with Unique. I want her to see the difference and see what happens, because telling her about it all the time isn't the only way she learns. She needs to see.
You know, I don't mind her feeling good about herself and being pretty and all that. I actually think she does, but there's a part of me that feels like there is at time this just is not it in terms of makeup.
I'm going to stop you for a moment, Paul.
Okay.
All right? Because what's happening here is that you're beginning to disagree and argue with Chantel's explanation of her own value system before you may understand it fully. So
I
here's
understand it.
well. Let me
I do.
check with you on something.
Okay.
Do you know exactly what Chantel means when she says, "I don't only want her to be a woman; I want her to be a lady"? Do you know what lady means to Chantel, and why that's important to her, and how she would define that?
I think I do.
Why don't you try asking just for the heck of it? Because you may be a little bit surprised by the answer.
Okay.
Give it
What
a
is
try.
What is your, when you say being a woman and a lady, what do you mean by that?
Well, from when I was growing up, the way I was raised, I was a tomboy forever. I was a tomboy when I met you. And I could be in a dress and we'd go outside and play football. It didn't matter. They told me about being, how a girl could carry herself, but they never showed me.
When you
I
say
never-
they, you're
My
referring
family.
to.
I never had examples of women that were ladies in my family.
The women in your family told you this, or did that come from the women in your family?
They would tell me about etiquette and how to carry yourself, but it was never shown to me. So what that means is I didn't have any examples of what they're talking about. A lady should be this way, a lady should behave this way, and yet I'm looking at women who get the crap beat out of them all the time and don't stand up for themselves or don't carry themselves like they even respect the fact that they are women. And so to me, I wanted to eventually get as far away from that as possible. And so I stayed away from pretty. I stayed away from it because I didn't want anything to do with it for various reasons. And so, but when I got to be in 7th grade, I liked a boy. But I didn't know how to take care of myself, so he did not reciprocate the feelings. And I felt ridiculed by the situation because of how it played out. And then when I tried to look like what I thought he was attracted to, I blew that too, because I didn't know how to put on makeup. And so I came to school with makeup on that wasn't blended in. It was my cousin's makeup. She's like 3 shades darker than me. And so I walk into the school and he says, "Hey, little girl," which is the worst to be called a little girl by the guy you like. And why the hell you got on all that makeup in front of the whole doggone lunchroom? And so for me, I immediately thought back to how could I help her avoid being in situations where, oh no, now I'm having these feelings. And they're simple. It's not like, oh my gosh, she wants to go have a boyfriend. Oh my gosh, now I want to have sex. Unique she's very well. We've done a good job with her. I'm extremely proud of our progress with our daughter. But she's turning into a young lady. She's starting to notice what things are and how certain reactions and what they mean and what she wants from that. She doesn't want, she's supposed to, for girls, we just want to be noticed. That all of a sudden we're not a girl anymore, we're becoming a woman, we're becoming a lady. And that's where she's at that point now, where it's like, dang, I'm always in my sweats and tennis shoes and I don't know how to do my hair. Mom, can you help me? What do you think I should wear? What do you think I should put together? She doesn't want him to notice her and take her out on a date. She just wants to have that feeling that when she walks by, somebody from the opposite sex thinks, that's a good looking young lady right there. She looks well put together. Can I have your number? No, I can't give out my number. No, I can't. But it just feels good to be able to say that to somebody that is attracted to you, because now puberty's kicking in and you're getting all these feelings. You don't know what they mean, but you know that you're supposed to do something with them. And I want her to do something positive with them instead of sneaking makeup to school because her friends say, you should try one lipstick. So she gets some burgundy magenta 509 Wet n Wild color that makes her look like a prostitute, walks up to school with it because nobody told her the proper coloring.
Yeah, like maybe gold.
And so this is to stay married, right?
Let me check a moment. Let me check a moment. How did that comment just feel?
Like a put down?
Yes, indeed. All right.
It's funny. I'm sorry. And my intent was not to hurt your feelings. My intent was to laugh with you. Wow.
Can you explain what you're feeling? What was the put down about that, Chantel?
Sorry. I'm turning this off, by the way.
Okay. Paul, let me help explain this for a moment, okay? Okay. Chantel was just telling the story of coming into the lunchroom with the wrong shade of lipstick and being laughed at. A whole group laughing at her about the wrong shade of lipstick. She told that story with humor, but underneath it must be feelings of a lot of humiliation, pain, embarrassment, and shame. So you heard the laughter, but not the shame. This time, when you commented about her color of lipstick again, how identical that was to her lunchroom situation. You're laughing at her color of lipstick just the way they laughed at her color of lipstick. So it would immediately hit that vulnerable place in her that hurts, where there's shame. That's why the tears are there. She's tried to change, to be beautiful, to look like a lady, which is what she wants to pass down to Unique. You see, she thinks she's made progress. If you laugh at her shade of color, you're taking her right back to the days prior to that progress, where she got laughed at. Does that make sense?
I'm actually stunned and surprised that she's crying right now. I see now why she is, but at the time I completely was going along with the humor.
I understand.
And that's, it's funny because I often do that. Because she'll say something and the way she'll say it is, and we'll both laugh about it, but then, yeah, I didn't know it was connected like that. I'm sorry.
See, I think part of what's happening is that sometimes, Chantel, the way you dealt with all that trauma was humor. You said that yourself a moment ago. And so in telling the story with Paul, there was the humor again, without letting him see how shaming that incident actually was. You kind of hoped he would guess it, but your humor kind of covered it up, eh?
I think I noticed that people treat you a little different if you make it funny. If you can make a bad situation funny, they're able to accept it and not hold on to it and hold it against you for too long.
Right.
And so that's been a way I've always kind of dealt with that.
Well, in this situation, you see, the humor covered up the real pain, but here is your ally. Here's your partner, your husband. It would be wonderful to be able to share that with him from the real place of shame so that he more deeply understood how badly you want to help Unique avoid ever having to feel humiliated like that. Does that make sense? So what you're getting into now is really, really important, Chantel, and I'm wondering if you can continue it with Paul, where you're talking about the meaning of being a good mother. And part of what being a good mother is for you, being a good parent to Unique, is teaching her the beauty secrets, teaching her the secrets of how to be a beautiful young lady. You never had a teacher like that. And so you're turning the cycle around of your own legacy to show her the ways to be a beautiful young woman, the way you wish somebody would have shown you. Does that make sense? And the price, what you've shared with Paul, is the price a kid pays when they don't have these lessons is they get shamed to the hilt, especially in middle school. Is that right? Do you feel able to continue? Because I'm wondering if you could share with Paul, when you're ready what it means to you to be a lady. What is a lady to you? Because that's a very important part of what you want to help Unique become. A lady. So what is a lady to you?
Middle school is horrible for me. Kids are
Kids are what?
cruel.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter how much your parents tell you you're a good person. I never remembered it like this. But I don't have a very good memory of middle school. 8th grade was better. 6th and 7th grade were horrible. To me, being lady means being able to for some reason take care of yourself. Be elegant when you need to be elegant. To be able to fit in multiple situations. You're prepared. It felt like unique. She had the tomboy thing down. Just like I did. She had the humor thing down. But what would she do if she was in a room with a bunch of girls from Bellevue and you're visiting the Bellevue Boys and Girls Club? Or you're at camp with a bunch of rich girls.
Mind if I say white in here?
How do you know how to carry yourself?
Does that remind you about something that happened?
I just remember feeling so let down by my family. They didn't teach us. It was embarrassing. So embarrassing. I learned how to shave at camp. I was taught to take care of my skin. I went to the hair. Then when I got to be in middle school, they complained about me.
Or your family?
Not taking care of myself. And then when my dad got out of jail, said I was a bum. He was disappointed. That I turned into a bum and I didn't take care of myself. I remember being so devastated. I couldn't wait to see him. I waited like 11 years. And the first thing he has to say is that he's disappointed in me because of how I look. I tried to dress up and come to my Uncle Chaz's party when I lived with Tina and Nini. And my Uncle Chaz pointed out to everybody how bad I looked. And I need to at least put on some lip gloss. I didn't understand. They could be cruel like that. 13, 12. So I want you to be balanced. Charisma. I want them to know how to put themselves together, take care of themselves, walk like a lady. be cordial, how to speak, enunciate, articulate themselves.
What would that mean for you if they did that?
They wanted to go through what I went through. Somebody calling them on it. In the wrong place at the wrong time. You never think that stuff sticks with you, but it does.
So what you're really talking about, Chantel, is the world of young women and girls and what they have to endure and how very, very crucial image is for young girls in middle school. And that it's a cruel, cruel world for them, potentially, just like it was for you. If they don't know how to put themselves together, if they don't know how to put on makeup, if they don't know how to dress in a way that's beautiful and elegant, that's how young girls are being judged. That's the reality. It's
Boys, for women, for men.
very different,
For
isn't it?
peers, for somebody.
Yeah. And so part of what you're saying that's really, really important is that you want to spare Unique that pain by giving her every tool you can so that she can protect herself and so she can carry herself well and be accepted in that world that is such a judgmental world for young women. That's what you feel is an important part of your role as a parent and as a mother of a daughter. And underlying that, you know only too well what it's like to not have that kind of mothering, to not have had a trace of it, to have had, in fact, the very opposite. And so you're determined you're not going to let your daughter suffer the way you did. You're going to give her the life and the role modeling that she deserves, that you deserved too, and that she deserves.
I actually think that you've done a really good job with the girls, though. Outside of the eyeliner thing for me was more of my own, I know how little boys are. Had less to do with how Unique looked in it and more to do with, well, if I can protect her when I am not there, if I can make her invisible at least until the school bell rings. Had more to do with that. But outside of that, I mean, I feel like you've done that for the girls. And look how, well, both of them, Charisma probably more so than Unique, but Charisma is just, our youngest daughter she is the definition of a young lady.
Unique got into sports early, so her tomboy stuff was kind of like hardwired. Charisma was the opposite. She was into girly early, so she's been doing her own hair, sneaking into my makeup. I had to tell her to take makeup off. I'm trying to get Unique to put makeup on. So she's an immaculate child. I can't really. She's beautiful.
It's neat. Paul, I'm wondering if you can say a little bit more about your role as a father in terms of a protector of Unique.
Well,
This
I
is where
have.
there's a little bit of a friction point in your value system, Chantel, and yours, Paul.
Yeah, well, I think my dad. Some of this is some stuff that I feel like comes from him. In his odd way of parenting, he tried to protect us by he would attack us first, and so if he thought that someone else in the room thought something about you, he made sure to make the bad comment for them. And so that somehow he felt like he was doing me a favor by saying these awful things to me in hopes that I would correct it before someone else saw it. And that was kind of weird for me growing up. But I think I have this protective, if I can tell you what they might be thinking about you, that it'd somehow change your mind of looking that way, being that way. And so, and I'm not at all. I don't feel like I'm happy about that. At least not all the way. It feels like it's right to do at the time, but then when I think about it, it's like, damn, why did you say that? you know. And but for me and Unique, I felt like I'm really protective of Unique, but because I have a background working with young people, I know how to disguise me peeing on trees, marking my territory with my kids. I know I know how to disguise it well enough so that the other adults that are either present or could potentially look at that as he's overly protective. I know how to disguise it in a way, you know, to where I feel comfortable that she's safe in any given situation.
What do you want to protect her from, Paul? Can you share that with Chantel?
Well, like Chantel said, I completely agree. Middle school is a cruel world. And I felt like my middle school run was decent, mainly because to look like, I feel like I've always had the outgoing personality to be able to fit in with some of the other kids. But that's when I got into stealing my own clothes and, no, hold up, that was high school. Middle school was better for me because of Jan. She's at that moment in my life, she provided school clothes, so I felt like I had a decent middle school run. But I just know how kids are, you know. And I like yourself. I don't want Unique to experience the cruelness of how kids can act. And because we've worked with them, I mean, kids say some crazy things. And what I really am afraid of is the whole sexual thing, man. That's messing me up. I just, I'm trying to do everything within my power to make that for her. I know I can't stop it in terms of she needs to develop that part of her, but that part of her these days is just, it's advanced. I mean, there's no refrain. I mean, and that kind of bothers me. And so,
Paul, what's your worst nightmare about her becoming a sexual being?
is that she does it. There's a part of me that is, I don't want her. There's something about her sexuality that is pure to me. And what I identify with in your story is that that was taken from you. And I feel when you talk about it, the pain of that, there's something about that I feel like, and even when you spoke, I wanted to, and I pictured choking Chaz like tomorrow or something. And I felt like I, like all that stuff happened, but I wish I could have been there to protect you then, And so I feel like Unique is just the same way. And so, yeah.
Paul, are you afraid that if Unique takes steps to make herself look more beautiful, to look perhaps more attractive, sexier, that she could become prey
Yes.
to some predator?
Yeah.
And that you won't be able to protect her. And so part of what you're wanting, in a way, or kind of wanting to put the brakes on, is you're wishing that she might not look so good, so that she'll be more invisible.
Yeah. See, now some of this is also, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but we're trying to find the school where kids are a little bit more nerdy. they're not into all of the new, the Jordans and the madness that some of our kids, our inner city kids, are involved in. Even though it's probably a trade-off, right? I imagine suburban kids have stuff inner city kids don't deal with too. So, but I think I like those cards better.
To be like urban kids.
Yeah.
Well, so let's come back to a conversation regarding what it means to be a parent. So, to summarize briefly, you've been talking, Chantel, about really wanting to help Unique become a young lady, that's a very important value for you. To become a young lady, to become elegant, to know how to take care of herself as a young lady, so she doesn't get laughed at. So she can fit in to any kind of situation and carry herself well. Part of that means wearing makeup, knowing how to dress well, and so on. Paul, what you're talking about is, as a father, wanting to protect her from that premature sexuality that can sometimes, end up subjecting girls to getting victimized. That's how you feel. So you're coming from a place from your value system of wanting Unique to learn character, to learn integrity, to be an honest person, to really, be true to herself. But at the same time, another important thing that's looming there on the horizon in this age is, well, she's becoming slowly but surely a sexual being. And I want to protect her from doing that too fast. Right?
Yep.
I want her to be strong. I want to protect her from entering into the world in some ways. Yet, you can't. So now let's look. Let's have the two of you have a conversation for the last 15 minutes or so, where let's see if you can find some common ground in terms of each of your sets of values regarding parenting Unique. Where is there some common ground? Obviously, you have differences. You're a mom, you're a dad. Priorities are different. But is there any common ground between the two of you? see if you can identify anything that may overlap.
I do
terms
have a
of your
question for
values.
Chantel. So this eye makeup thing, is it something that she came to you about, or that you noticed that she was wanting to put it on, or is it
I've been
something that
wanting to put on for some time.
she's come to you and asked you?
Okay, so when we stopped wearing the eyeliner, when you made it clear that that was a problem, I talked to her about it. I said, Daddy's not quite ready. What I want you to learn from this is when, when you wear eyeliner type of outfits. I totally understand your perspective as a father, and I know I'm really happy that you have that with her, but I don't want her to rebel because that's all she sees. I don't.
Well, if she sees it out of,
I'm just saying that's just from my perspective. That's why my approach was inappropriate yesterday. Was I immediately saw her sense of you not understanding and you being more what she would think of as domineering, and Dad doesn't want to try to understand that I'm growing up, and so I came
well,
to
I
her
actually
defense.
talked to her about stuff like that. I
Mhm.
try to give her some understanding, how a conversation would sound. I haven't talked about the eyeliner part, but I have talked about other things. I never leave her how my parents left me with no, that's it, because I said so. It's always no, and then afterwards, after she gets over the shock of me saying no, then I'll say, well, one of the reasons why I don't want you to wear it is because, and I'll give her an experience or for her to understand where I'm coming from. Now, if she has some pushback and says, well, Dad, I'm aware of that, and this is, but this is what I'm thinking. This is where I'm coming from, which she hasn't yet. But I'm prepared for her to say something. If she's ready to push back, give me an argument for why you think it's all right to wear it. And if it sounds logical and it makes sense, then maybe she might, I might be able to give some ground in that area. But until she can build a case for why it's, and I understand what you're saying though, and I don't mind on occasion, but every day to school, and really, I don't know, maybe it's really thin or something, right? And not thick. I mean, if you can give it to her in doses.
I just, like I said, I understand where you're coming from. My concern is not. I just want to make sure that when she leaves the door, she takes our values and understanding with her, because I grew to know exactly what to say so that I could get out the door, and then I had the shoes that I wanted to wear and the tank tops I wanted to wear in my bag, and I want her to not have to go through that, because most teenage girls start doing that, and that's that peer neglect that I talked about a lot, where it's now we're talking at her about what she can't do and why it's not okay, and as opposed to understanding what her reasoning is behind it.
Even if there is a need for her to sneak, then that's on her. But she at least needs to know where we stand with it, and that, for me, that's another part of building resilience in kids, is giving them boundaries. Now, whether they go across those boundaries and they suffer the repercussions of that, we'll deal with that when that happens.
Where's the common ground, guys?
Yeah, because my approach is more of a compromise as opposed to this is that, and if you do this, I need to find out how far can you come, and a little bit that I'm willing to come, because she's far from lewd or inappropriate. Even when we bring up how she dresses, she doesn't wear sexy clothing. When we're talking about how she dresses, she'll want to wear a tank top, and it's like freezing outside, and her logic is, it's not a sexy tank top, but it's a regular tank top, like a sports tank top. But her logic is,
for boys, it isn't.
Her logic is, I'm going to keep my coat on.
Talk to each other.
Her logic is, I'm going to keep my coat on all day. I'm not going to, I want to wear a tank top because I'm going to go play basketball afterward. It's not, ooh, let me take off my tank top. Let me take off my jacket so I show off I'm wearing a tank top. That's not her mindset for that. And so.
Well, I'm thinking that one of her teachers might say, you need to put your coat away. And because, and then she ends up putting her coat away and she has a tank top and it's snowing outside. And so I'm thinking of scenarios like that could potentially happen where an adult comes into play and and she has to listen. And now all of a sudden she's, you know what I'm saying? And then not only that, she could get sick.
My compromise was to wait a little longer on the eyeliner. After our argument, Unique came in. She was concerned. I told her,
Concerned about.
us arguing.
Let me stop you a moment, because it would be easy to slide into the fight you had yesterday. But instead, I want you to focus on something different, and it's a little harder to do because it's kind of more abstract. What common value do you think you might share here in terms of parenting Unique? For example, you said it's really important to you to have her grow into a young lady and to be well trained, really, in how to do that.
I agree with that.
You agree with that?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Okay. You want that too?
Yeah.
Well, I agree that we should protect her innocence and vulnerability as long as we can as well. And that's why I pushed back on the eyeliner.
Yep.
So you agreed with Paul in terms of slowing it down a little bit?
I knew you would. Yeah, I think we generally, like she said in the beginning, we generally, when we think about it, we generally agree with how, with our values for our kids.
Even our reasoning behind it, it's usually our approach.
Yeah, it's our approach, and then what it's connected to individually that's where the divide is, I think.
Because we're both trying to defend our reasoning based upon what happened to us individually.
Right, and that's what separates us, is because I'm looking at it from my work with kids but see, when you were talking about the whole embarrassing thing, I understood that. I mean, that has happened to me as well, not on that level though, but so.
So, how do you think you can work together in helping Unique slowly, emphasize the word slowly, become a young lady? How can you both work together? What role should each of you play to do that?
Well, I've been wanting to. It's been us on my to-do list for a long time, and I've actually been anticipating when the right time would be to start taking Unique out to. I mean, for you to get her ready, prepare her to go out on a date with Dad, type of deal, and to give her kind of a time to kind of focus on the whole restaurant thing that we had talked about. And so, in terms of her becoming a lady, I'd like to play that role. And me and Unique have good conversation when we're out anyway, so that wouldn't be a stretch.
I really need you to do that. That would mean a lot.
Is she ready now?
Chris was ready now.
Yeah. Should I take them together or separate? You can help me kind of plan how that looks. Because for me, it's dinner and the movies.
Just be dinner.
Valentine's Day.
There's a Valentine's Day ball, Daddy's ball, where you take your daughters.
Where's this at?
I know John takes his girls every year. They get all dressed up.
It's at a barn. I'm not going.
No, it's like a ballroom. Any dads, you know.
Yeah, I could do that.
I just think we need to start, like I was saying this year, we need to start putting more focus into the activities we pour into our kids. So up until now, it's been predominantly work related. Where it's like, yeah, we're taking them somewhere, but usually the youth ministry's coming with us, or a couple of kids from the youth ministry are coming with us, or they need their own individual family time. We always take somebody with us, or do something, to help somebody else out. So,
I understand that.
so I want that this year. Or now it's about them, their time. That'll be huge.
That's a lot of work. We got 3 more kids to think about in this way.
That you do.
Yeah, we stop, boy.
More.
Does this feel like a good place to stop for today?
Yeah.
Okay.